Tectonic change, the word. Rai Saab had some different meaning, but I only spoke about political changes and not philosophical or ideological changes. The political changes which took place at that period, about which I will talk about the experience all of us underwent. Balbir Punj is here, Rai Saab himself is here, and then Surya Prakash. We were all part of the change as part of the Indian Express. Of course, I was very deeply associated with the RSS of the BJP and also with the Janata Dal and the constituents of the Janata Dal, along with whom I had tremendous amount of opportunity to work and see the changes taking place right in front of me. So that is what I would say, how all this happened. In 1985, when Rajiv Gandhi took position as the Prime Minister of India with 414 members in Parliament, he was not elected for 5 years, he was elected for 25 years. At that time, I had moved with opposition party leaders, including the BJP and others. They had all given up hope. In fact, some of them even said, what is the use of running a political party? This was the state of confidence of leaders. You know, when I look back at that time, as soon as Mrs. Gandhi came to power in 1980, she pounced on the Indian Express, demolition notice and things like that. Afterwards, after Sanjay Gandhi died, everything cooled. She also cooled, Indian Express also cooled. And the political parties were silent. The leaders had no great acceptability. They are good people. But they were not seen as posing a challenge. The country had no challenge at all. Of course, we had Punjab problem and other problems, but they were all problems of the government. It was at that time. Developments were taking place which had nothing to do with politics. The developments were, there will be a huge build-up of the Reliance Industries. And Dhirubhai Ambani was one of the most powerful and extremely capable industrialists. So he maneuvered his way and the government was virtually under his control. And there are historical reasons for that. When nobody was standing by Mrs. Gandhi, nobody was standing by R.K. Dhawan, nobody was standing by Pranab Mukherjee, he was standing by them during the Janata regime. So when Mrs. Gandhi came back, she had a first open dinner with Dhirubhai Ambani, giving a message to the whole bureaucracy that he is my friend. And that had its own impact on the kind of growth he had. Those were license quota days. So whatever the government wanted, it could give to one and deny to another. So when this was happening, some very strange things happened in Bombay. I will explain to you how the seeds of change got implanted in 1985. I remember in May, when it was hot sun, one day Ramnath Goenka came from outside, held my hand and said, "You come out." From air-conditioned room in the penthouse, we went out, it was burning sun. He asked me, "You tell me who is owning Indian Express?" I said, "You are owning Indian Express." "No!" He asked me, "Who is owning Times of India?" He said, "I don't know. It is Jain's." "No!" And then he showed me a sheaf of papers in which Financial Express, Indian Express, Times of India, Economic Times, everybody publishing news editorials which Ambani's wanted and against Ambani's adversaries. He said, "Guru, my paper is not my paper. It is being run by Ambani." We have to finish him. I said, what? I have heard about Ambanis. I don't know anything about Ambanis. See, my relationship with Ramnath Goenka was very peculiar relationship. We were friends. I was his advisor. And we were very, very close. Unbelievably close. Most people will not be able to understand. At the age of 27, I became his advisor when he was 72. People always used to laugh at our relationship because he was so old and I was almost like a college student. So he said, Guru, we have to investigate this man, all his frauds and all that. Then we produced, why I am mentioning this is, how political changes take place from sources which have nothing to do with politics, but which has everything to do with political changes. So I made 4 volumes actually, and said these are his frauds. And then we began writing letters to the government and things like that. It was at that time Rajiv Gandhi also felt it is necessary to act against Ambanis. These are all fairly well-known facts. And then we got into very close relationship with VP Singh, Pandey, Burelal. And then in a matter of, say, 8 months, the Reliance shares which were 380 rupees came down to 62.5 rupees. So Ramnath Goenka was so happy that he has been able to teach a lesson to a man who bought the pages in the Indian Express. So the last straw was that Reliance had applied for 900 crore G series debentures. If the debenture issue is not sanctioned, Reliance will become bankrupt. If it is sanctioned, then Reliance will survive. So Ramnath Goenka was sure it won't be sanctioned. But I always told Ramnathji, today you are fighting Reliance, next year we will be fighting Rajiv Gandhi. This I told him. He said, no, you are always against the family, you will talk like that. He is an honest man, he is a straightforward man, he is a young man. If I die today, I know the country is in the hands of a young and honest man. Not only he told this to me, he also told the American TV correspondent who had come there, Anderson. I said, Ramnathji, next year you will change your mind. This is the kind of discussions we used to have. So actually I was arguing a tax case somewhere in the down south. So news came that G series debentures had been approved by Rajiv Gandhi. Ramnath Goenka had a stroke and a concussion. He called me and I went and met him on 23rd of October. Guru, we have to remove Rajiv Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi? Removal? What are you saying? No! You give up your practice. We will die. But we have to finish him. I didn't know what to do. You know, Goenka always talks like that. And that is what made Indian Express strong. That is what made Indian Express a fighter. You give up your practice. From today onwards, we have to do this. In the meanwhile, what happened is, in 1985, when we investigated all this, we could find that no journalists were willing to write. And so Ramnath Goenka said, you have to become the journalist. I had become the journalist by that time. So from 1985 end onwards, by October, my name had become a very big name in those days. So we began working, you will not know. Between October 23rd and April 17th, Rajiv Gandhi's name came down and crashed, and afterwards that government was government only in name. First we began investigating through Fairfax. Then suddenly one day Chandraswamy turned up. We don't know, these are characters. He's a drama in real life. So he came and said, told Ramnath Goenka that Zail Singh wants to meet you. Ramnathji said, I am not going to meet. let him meet Guru Murthy. So I went to Zail Singh along with Chandra Swami. Zail Singh said, हम अंदर बात नहीं करेंगे, इधर सब बग लगा हुआ है, बाहर जाएंगे. So he took us outside and he gave a whole kahani as to how Rajiv Gandhi was ill-treating him. His office of the president has been reduced to the level of a peon. It is not worth sitting there. I said, Gyani ji, why don't you write a letter to Rajiv Gandhi? क्या लिखना है? ये सब हो रहा है. प्रेसिडेंट का स्टेटस क्या है, उसका कैसा रा का रिपोर्ट आता था, आईबी का रिपोर्ट आता था. प्राइम मिनिस्टर बाहर जाके जब आते हैं वापस उसको ब्रीफ करता था. ऐसा प्रेसिडेंट का एक पोजीशन था. नथिंग इज हैपनिंग. So my office has been reduced to a nullity. I said, you write all this. He was so clever. He said, कोई इसको ड्राफ्ट करेंगे, हमको तो वही ऑफिसर है वो अपॉइंट किया है. I said, मैं ड्राफ्ट करूँगा. ड्राफ्ट करके मैं लिख के क्या करूँगा, उसके पास जाएगा. I said, मैं राजीव गांधी के ऑफिस से वो लेटर हमको मिलेगा, हम पब्लिश करेंगे. ही इज गोइंग टू गिव मी द लेटर, बट आई हैव टू टेल हिम ऑल दिस. सो वी ड्राफ्टेड द लेटर and then the Mulgaonkar corrected the letter and then he wrote the letter. Meanwhile, what happened? Because our investigations about Ambani's had reached a peak point, Ambani forged a letter as if I am trying to steal the files from the government of India and send it to a foreign detective agency, Fairfax, and planted that letter in Rajiv Gandhi's office. And Rajiv Gandhi was shaken because the name of Sonia Gandhi, Kotroki, everybody he mentioned there. So he thought that I am going to bring down this government, and so he ordered my arrest. This was, the president letter was published on the 13th of March, 1987, and I was arrested on the 13th of March morning. So within 2 days, the letter was proved to be a forgery. So every day the government was being rubbed on the ground that Guru Murthy has been arrested on a forged letter. I became nationally famous, internationally famous. I was nobody. Some people's foolishness made me a hero. I didn't do anything. I became a journalist by accident. I became popular by accident. So when I got out on 23rd of March, when I came out of the jail, huge crowd of some 200 journalists from all over the world waiting for me. This change. And then there were discussions in parliament. And then opposition got fire. They had no ammunition till then. The opposition got fire. And then they all targeted VP Singh, congressman. And on 7th of April, VP Singh signed a document. There was a cable which had come from Germany, about $30 million commission having been taken during Indira Gandhi's regime, HDW deal. Many of you may recollect that. So when he ordered that inquiry, he planted it in the newspaper that this inquiry has been ordered by VP Singh. Then the congressman shouted even more, baying for his blood. VP Singh resigned on the 15th of April. On the 17th of April came the Swedish radio disclosure that Bofors had paid commissions to the agents or whatever. The government was finished in this period. There was no credibility left. Afterwards, the question was how to carry on, because this is 1987 April. The election is 1985 November, December. How to take this battle, how to carry the mood of the nation for 2.5 years. That is where the greatest contribution came from the Indian Express. It was a daily battle. Something or the other will come out. The government will be shaken. What a newspaper could do to throttle a government, the biggest and the mightiest government, 300 cases, raids on Indian Express, and then artificially organized strikes in which all these people were real. They were all, in fact, In fact, we had brought out that acids were thrown on me, Arun Shori and Prabhash Joshi. All this came out. It's a battle of a very high order. A newspaper battling it. And then this was not sufficient. We had to bring together the opposition parties, scattered, splint, and highly selfish leaders. It took 1.5 years for us to bring together all these political leaders. And in that, the kind of politics, the northern politics, the caste politics, the religious politics, the selfish politics that I learned made me understand Indian politics like what no university can teach you, no book can teach you, no research can give you that kind of knowledge. Finally, all the parties were to come together, in which the kind of role that the Indian Express played, without that it could never have happened. So this is the role, and I will explain to you what role the Indian Express played. This is one stream of development. A paper could change the, what I call as bring out the tectonic shift in the Indian politics. The mightiest Prime Minister, the Prime Minister with the greatest amount of goodwill, a man who was called Mr. Clean. In just 6 to 8 months, we had crashed him down and then sustained it for long. I tell you how mistakes are committed by great leaders and how it affects them. One day Ramnath Goenka, we saw in the news item, Ram Jetpalani had said something about Rajiv Gandhi. People asked, Rajiv Gandhi, Mr. Gandhi, Ram Jetpalani has spoken this about you. He said, I am not going to answer to every barking dog. So Ramnathji told me, let us go to Ram Jetpalani and see what he has to say on this. So we went to him. So Ram Jetpalani was writing a letter. I said, Ram, what are you doing? I am writing a letter to Rajiv Gandhi. What are you going to write? He said, I am going to write, yes, dogs will bark at thieves. And from today onwards, I will ask 10 questions and will continue to ask this for 30 days. And till you answer, I will keep on asking these questions. So he had drafted 10 questions. And so we put it out, the front page of the Indian Express. Yes, dogs will bark at thieves. These are the questions, you answer the questions. Then Sonia Gandhi, then Katroki, everything had come in that. In 7 days, the Indian Express circulation went up by 100,000 copies. So afterwards, Ram Jetpalani, what he did after 7 days, Guru, you people manage this questioning, I am going abroad. 21 days, Arun Shori, Arun Jaitley, Mahesh Jetpalani, me, we used to call the whole country to give us questions. So 30 days we maintained this. What I am saying is, once a Prime Minister of that stature commits a small mistake, it becomes an atom bomb on them. The Indian Express became the mightiest force. Simple thing. A newspaper which is determined, which has the guts, and headed by people who are clean, it can work wonders. Second stream was the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. Rai Saab spoke about how the BJP had digressed. In fact, I will not answer his questions one by one, but when I speak, all his questions may probably get answered. So Ram Janmabhoomi movement had come up in a big way. And even the BJP did not know that it had such a big impact it will have. So when the BJP passed the resolution in June or July 1989 in Palanpur, that BJP will support the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. That changed the complexion of Indian politics once and for all. I don't think such a change happened after the battle against the emergency. So when BJP did it, then VP Singh and Janata Dal and all that, now how can we have alliance with BJP? It is Ram Janmabhoomi, we are Mandal, we are secular. In fact, VP Singh used to tell me, Gurumurti ji, मेरा प्रॉब्लम यह है, मुसलमान 18% है, वो पूरा का पूरा वोट देता है, हिंदू 80% है, अब 78% है, वो आधा वोट देता है. You see, there is only 1% difference between them ultimately. So how to win without Muslim votes? So we should safeguard the Muslim votes, at the same time we should get the Hindu votes. So Mandal is also important, Muslim is also important, Ram Janmabhoomi is also important, corruption is also important. So these four streams, corruption, Ram Janmabhoomi, Mandal and Muslim, how to make a convergence of all these four conflicting things? This was the challenge. So we were all very upset because we were borrowing to run the Indian Express. There is no money. So I went to VP Singh along with Arun Jaitley and Ryan Karanjawala. Arun is not here, but Ryan Karanjawala is there. In fact, I am writing all this in the Tughlaq magazine because it will form part of the political history of India, because at that time so many things happened to which I was an eyewitness and I was a participant. So I went to VP Singh and said, are you going to announce alliance with the BJP or not? He said, देखिए ये तो अभी नहीं करना है, बाद में देखेंगे. I said, Raja, I am going to only give you 3 days time because we have no surviving power. Unless you are going to say we will have an alliance with the BJP, we may have to oppose you in Indian Express. He was shaken. Because if Indian Express opposed VP Singh, because we created VP Singh, if we opposed, he knew the consequences. Next day morning he called me and said, Gurumurti ji, मैं ऐसा करूँगा, देवीलाल आपका समझौते में सरकार चला रहा है, उनको समझौता कमेटी का चेयरमैन बनाऊंगा. So when are you going to do it? He said, आज शाम को करूँगा. कितना बजे करेंगे? 7 बजे करेंगे. I straight went to देवीलाल. I said, देवीलाल जी, ये है VP सिंह का डिसीजन, आपको समझौता कमेटी का चेयरमैन बन रहे हैं. 7 बजे का स्टेटमेंट निकालेंगे VP सिंह. 7:30 बजे आप स्टेटमेंट निकालिए, बीजेपी से आप समझौता करेंगे. 7 o'clock VP Singh issued the statement. 7:30 Devilal issued the statement that sealed the fate of Rajiv Gandhi once and for all. So BJP and VP Singh coming together was the most critical point in the shift of politics. I am not talking about, in fact, these are contradicting situations. So this became the most important factor, after which Rajiv Gandhi even thought of including Ram Janmabhoomi in the election manifesto of the Congress. And he sent message to the RSS. And this was communicated through a person who was a Congress MP who later joined the BJP and became a governor also. We were very tense. If this happens, the whole confusion. Rajiv Gandhi is the target and Congress has to come down. Finally, that did not happen because in Congress such a big thing cannot happen. So finally, you know what happened. These contradicting 4 things converged. One small thing I will tell you. VP Singh said, मैं तो किसी हिंदू ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को गाली देना ही है. आरएसएस को गाली नहीं दे सकते हैं, विश्व हिंदू परिषद को नहीं गाली दे सकते हैं, शिवसेना को गाली दूं तो ऐसे शिवसेना को गाली देते हैं तो बड़ा साहब भी आपको गाली देगा. So I went to Ramnath Goenka had called Bal Thackeray. And so we sat with Bal Thackeray and said, VP Singh will abuse you. So you should not reply. Because he is abusing you to get the Muslim votes. See, this is politics. This is the drama. Then Bada Sahab said, कितना दफा अब्यूज करेगा हमको? 5 times. 6th time वो करता है तो मुंबई में लैंडिंग नहीं कराएंगे. I mean, you see how the country's politics was being run. Politics externally is a drama. This is what I understood. मुलायम सिंह will say, गुरुमूर्ति जी, कुछ भी हो, दंगा नहीं होना चाहिए. राम जन्मभूमि टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्शन भी हो, दंगा नहीं होना चाहिए. दंगा होने में मुसलमान बदल जाएगा. You see, their objection is not about the ideological position of the BJP or राम जन्मभूमि. मुसलमान वोट नहीं जाना है हमसे. See, this is how I was seeing naked politics at that time. Then VP Singh got, then we defeated Rajiv Gandhi. Then who should be the Prime Minister? In that Chandrasekhar said he was going to contest. So we didn't know what to do. VP Singh said, unless there is unanimous election, I will not become Prime Minister. So I went to Bhairav Singh ji. Bhairav Singh ji was staying in here Jodhpur born. So I went to, I told Bhairav Singh ji, this is the problem. You have to handle this. Only 2 persons could handle Chandrasekhar. One was Sharad Pawar, another was Bhairav Singh ji. So Bhairav Singh ji told me, आप तो intellectual है, आप क्या तर्क देंगे, बताओ हमको. I said ये एंटी करप्शन एजेंडा है, वो मैंडेट वीपी सिंह को मिला है, इसलिए वीपी सिंह बनना ही ठीक होगा. आप इंटेलेक्चुअल है ना, ऐसा ही बात करोगे. Then he said, आप आओ, 1 घंटे के बाद आओ, मैं आपसे बात करूँगा ये कैसा हमने हैंडल किया. So after 1 hour I went to him. He shook hands with me. He said, मैंने को क्या बात किया चंद्रशेखर को मालूम है आपको? He said, मैं जातवाद किया. मैं चंद्रशेखर को कहा 1000 साल के बाद एक राजपूत को मौका मिला है दिल्ली रूल करने के. उसको खराब मत करो, राजपूत समाज आपको खिलाफ हो जाएगा. Chandrasekhar developed second thoughts. ये another Rajput is saying it, no? He said, ये problem तो साल हो गया है, तुम क्या करना है करो. Chandrasekhar went and told Devilal, you contest. Devilal said he was going to contest. So we all went to Devilal, virtually touched his feet. Devilal said, मैं contest नहीं करूँगा, फिर हमको इलेक्ट करना ही है. हमको लीडर इलेक्ट करने दीजिए, बाद में मैं वीपी सिंह को सौंप दूंगा उसको. The man doesn't do. So you may have seen in the news, in the radio at that time. At that time there was no television. PTI flashed, Devilal elected leader of opposition and prime minister. Because we had arranged Arif Muhammad Khan, Arun Nehru, Govindacharya, all of us worked to ensure that ultimately Devilal will say VP Singh should be the prime minister. So Devilal was elected. Devilal rose to speak. Everybody was looking at what he was going to do. Devilal said, हमको लोग ताऊ बोलते हैं. ताऊ का मतलब क्या है? वो नेचुरल लीडर बनता है. सो हम तो नेचुरल लीडर ही है, हमको इलेक्ट करना ही दूसरा है. सो देन ही सेड, I am nominating VP Singh as the prime minister, as my. Anyhow, he was elected as the prime minister. You know what happened later? The government fell. But the most important turn that was needed was the defeat of the most powerful government since independence. If that had not happened, no change would have taken place in this country, in which the greatest contribution came from the Indian Express, and the most important opportunity for that was granted by Rajiv Gandhi himself. Afterwards, you know what happened? Then one after another, you saw only coalition governments, instability. After 1989, there was no stable government in India. But things were moving in a way very different from where the politics was before 1980. If there was any change in politics which took place, it took place between 1985 and 1987. And that set the course away from the usual way of looking at Hindu means communal. This became slowly, there was a shift. And it is this shift that ultimately resulted in the kind of explosion of corruption charges against Congress and all that. At the time, I must tell you a very interesting incident. When Anna Hazare had launched the fast, and Kejriwal was sent by Sri Ravi Shankar to meet me, to say how to carry on this agitation for 2 years, 2.5 years. Indian Express had carried on this campaign for nearly 2.5 years. So you learn from them as to how you can carry on this agitation, anti-corruption agitation against the Congress for 2 years, 2.5 years. So he came and met me in Indian Express guest house in Sarvodaya Enclave and said, Gurumurti ji, aap kaisa isko nibana hai? How to carry on this agitation? I said it cannot be done unless you have two important conditions fulfilled. One is you must have a media backing you. Without a media backing, it is not possible to carry on this campaign for 2 years, 2.5 years. Second thing is you must bring together all the opposition parties and then only you can defeat the Congress. He said, I have a media backing, but I can't do the second thing because the opposition parties are as corrupt as the Congress. So I cannot associate with the opposition parties. I said, who is the media supporting you? He said, Subhash Chandra has told me he will support. Right in front of him, I called Subhash Chandra. I asked him, are you going to support Kejriwal like Indian Express supported the opposition parties? He said, no way. I only said, if I gave others 15 minutes time, I will give him 30 minutes time. I said, Mr. Kejriwal, I think you are wrong. Nobody is going to fight like Ramnath Goenka in this country ever. The chapter is over in Indian media. Then he said, I have got to carry on this struggle. And I said, no, unless you associate with other political parties and bring all of them together, you will not be able to succeed in your objective. Why I am writing, I wrote all this in the newspaper. That's why I am saying this. Then Kejriwal said, ये आप कहिए मैं कैसा करना है इसको. I said, tomorrow Anna Hazare is going to sit in the fast. You can ask all the leaders of political parties to come and garland him, and he can ask all of them to sit on the podium. He said, no, ये तो नहीं होगा. ये audience में बैठना चाहिए. I said, what? Advani with 70 years, 80 years, Advani ji, Karat, all these people will come and sit in the audience. What are you saying? No. We have decided to carry on a political fight. I said, Mr. Kejriwal, don't bluff. Either you bring together all the political parties to defeat Rajiv Gandhi, or you yourself form a political party, whatever it does. Over my dead body, I will enter politics, is what he said. I have written all this in newspaper because there was a person sitting as a witness. I sent an email to that person, confirm all this happened between me and Kejriwal. He is not an honest man. He had an idea of using Anna Hazare only to promote himself in politics. I can tell you 100%. This is my personal knowledge. You can trust anyone in politics except people who make use of such innocent persons. Anna Hazare was an innocent person. And he made a fool out of him. This is how the country built an anti-Congress mood. The rise of Narendra Modi was the real shift that happened in 2014. And afterwards, what are the changes which have taken place in politics? I am only talking about politics, in which the more important thing that happened under Narendra Modi, many people do not know what kind of changes he has brought about. I will tell you what I know of. What changes it has done in politics, what changes it has done in economics, what changes it has done in the idea of India, about which a lot of discussions are taking place. I will first talk about what changes took place in just the so-called reforms about which people used to talk. Many people have not studied the Niti Aayog document. In the Niti Aayog document, he put two sentences. The models which have been imported from outside India cannot be transplanted into India. This is the first sentence. The second sentence he put was, we should do only what works in and for India. This is a far-sighted reversal of the entire course of economic policy making from 1950s. First socialism, then globalization, then Western model, Western way of doing things, Western financial model. He put the first seed in that. Second, everybody used to talk about first generation reform, second generation reform, third generation reform. He asked one question: how many Indians have bank account in India? Then they said, no, every time we have tried, banking has been, we have not been able to open bank accounts for more than 20 lakh, 30 lakh, 40 lakh people. He said, I want the opinion of the Reserve Bank of India. I want the opinion of the Finance Ministry as to how many bank accounts they can open. Reserve Bank said 1 crore bank account. Finance Ministry said 3 crore bank account. This discussion was taking place in September, October 2014. Narendra Modi said, I want 7.5 crore bank account by March. You know what is the number of bank accounts today? 42 crores. He had that vision. Unless there is bank account, you will not be able to deliver money directly to the people. Unbelievable reform. This is not about privatization, this is not about this, and then the demonetization. Many people think demonetization was a very aggressive decision, a negative decision. Without demonetization, there would have been no further improvement in the economy in terms of either GST or in terms of the taxpayers' number, or in terms of the formalization of the economy. Our economy used to be almost 60% informal economy. What is the extent of informality of the Indian economy? 18%. These are all detoxifying measures which only a very courageous government could have taken. Otherwise, you can carry on like this, as we have been doing for 50 years, 60 years. This changed the complexion of the Indian economy. Of course, tough, difficult decisions. And you see today, I am only talking about politics and economics. I will touch the other aspects on which Raisa spoke a little later. Now today, many people ask about how he has handled the black money issue. Most people do not know, in the year 2015, in the G20 meeting, Narendra Bhai took a position that these tax havens must be closed down. America was not for that. Obama defended, it's all in the newspapers. Because American economy was getting American economy had an investment of at least $5 trillion of global black money through tax haven. These are all published reports. So Obama did not want it, but Narendra Bhai was able to persuade the French and the German governments to support him, and the tax havens being closed down is the reason why no fresh black money can be generated in the world. Today it is just impossible. It's a major achievement. And then today the exchange of information between banks are so intense, so minute. $10,000 flying from one person to another is on the computer of all the intelligence agencies of the world. Very major shift that took place. And then India's rise. India's rise was in two ways. Everybody thought this 2014 election is a fluke. The world also thought like that. That he may not get elected a second time. And they tried their level best to see that he doesn't get elected a second term. The people from within and people outside, all forces, everybody worked to ensure that he did not get elected a second time. When he got elected a second time, there was no other option for the world powers to deal with India and on its own. It is no more a coalition government. It is no more a rickety government, unstable government, which they could shake. The shift, the political shift from being a rickety 30-year government and governance to a strong one party with an idea of what India is, to take in the country in the direction headed by a person who is stronger than most people the world had. The world leaders were not that strong as him. I have personally been witness to foreign leaders talking to him and taking his advice as to what position they have to take here or there. This is the rise in the stature of the man. It is not only because of him, it is also because of the importance of India. It is also because of the nation backing him. These are all the political changes. And you know what happened after he came back to power in 2019? Ram Janmabhoomi. Then Article 370. You know, in Article 3, enough has not been written and understood about what Article 370 transformation was. 3,000 people will be killed if Article 370 is removed. This is the kind of input the government was getting. In 5 days, they had to remove tourists whose number was 60,000. 5 days, all the 60,000 people were brought out. No one knew what was happening. Complete the capacity of a government which had no capacity to act. It acted like that. And no one knew what was going to. The article, nobody talked about Article 370. Everybody said Rule 35A will be changed. So that was the feeding of the media. So nobody looked at Article 370. But what was changed was Article 370. And no country other than Turkey supported Pakistan. In 24 hours, we were able to socialize with all the countries in the world. Even China kept quiet. I am only talking about political shift. The shift in the stature of India. And you know, today, what was considered impossible, as Rai Sahab said, have we done what we thought was impossible? Yes. Ram Janmabhoomi was considered to be an impossibility. Legislation. You know, you could never have done a thing which the entire Muslim community will feel humiliated about. And then to protect the Ram Janmabhoomi temple, you may have to spend crores and hundreds of crores of rupees. It was achieved in the most harmonious, acceptable way to which the Muslim community cannot have objection. The unanimous verdict of the Supreme Court, including all the communities on the bench, that shook the world. Nobody expected this. All people who oppose Ram Janmabhoomi, the leftists, the Congress, the people who are vying for minority votes, they all kept quiet. Major shift. Article 370 removal was considered to be an impossibility of impossibility. It was not only removed, normalization is going on in Kashmir in a big way. You must have seen. For the first time after 40 years, a home minister addressed a meeting of 30,000 people in North Kashmir without a bulletproof shield. And the first time a dignitary from Delhi went without Lal Chowk observing Hartal. All this has come out in newspapers. And the number of terror incidents has crashed. The number of terrorists killed has risen. Of course, there are problems. We never thought it would happen. So, a major tectonic shift has taken place in Indian politics. I am only talking about the political dimensions of the change. Now, coming to whether there has been any shift in the Indian mind, about which Rai Saab himself mentioned 5 points. One point he mentioned is the Nehruvian approach to India is no more there. It is the Modi approach to India which is now the dominant idea. Modi approach means there is a philosophical backing of the entire RSS Parivar working for the last 100 years. It is the output mechanism, the instrument, the delivery point is Modi. It's not one man's achievement. It's a movement which has achieved it, which found the cutting edge leader who could deliver that. Second, Nehru celebrated this Dharmadanda ritual secretly. And openly the Prime Minister sits and takes Sankalpa and things like that. Parliamentary building, he sits and takes Sankalpa. Ram temple construction, he sits and takes Sankalpa. He goes to all the places. Does anybody say anything? Can anybody call it communal? Shift has taken place. What was regarded as communal? What was regarded as narrow? What was regarded as backward? What was regarded as outdated? Is no more. This is the shift in the national mood. With the result, Rahul Gandhi has to go to temples and say he is a Janayu wearing Brahmin and he belongs to Gotra. Did it ever happen in India? All the communists have completely shut. Have they objected? The secular parties, have they objected? This is the transformation in the national movement. It is impossible to reverse it. This change has not taken place because of one man. It has taken place because of the huge amount of work that has been done at considerable pain and sacrifice by millions and millions of people, thousands and thousands of families destroyed. So this is the output, this is the delivery of that. Today, India's stature is so high that we tell America, you can't be like that. You have to change yourself. We are able to tell the Americans. India should not buy oil from Russia. We will buy oil from Russia. No, because you are buying oil from Russia, Russian economy is going up. To which the answer was very simple. The oil that you are buying in 1 month, one afternoon, we are buying in 1 month. This was the answer. Have you ever seen an Indian foreign affairs minister giving such a powerful response to the West? It's happening. China threatened, we will attack you inside. The war will not be limited to the borders. Our response was, there will be no Shanghai. A different India. a different response. You know, these changes have not, though they have taken place through politics, the change has taken place because of a huge philosophic drive that has been retailed for 100 years. And the right moment has come. It is that India has to rise, and it is rising. Today there is a shift in the whole global situation, about which few days back in the Republic Economic Summit I had an opportunity to speak. How the Indian model is going to emerge as an example to the world, not because of any government policy, not because of any economist, not because of any educational institutions. It is because of the cultural and family foundations of India on which the Indian economy is rising. So, India has come into its own. There is no doubt that, as Rai Sahab said, the way that India thinks about itself, the state of mind of Indians have undergone a complete change. It is difficult for anyone who wants to oppose the BJP not to recognize this. They may have differences. They may even vie for votes of people who oppose the BJP for religious reasons, caste reasons, or whatever. But the fact is, the change that has happened, that is the Hindu character of India, cannot be denied or opposed or undermined, and that is the ultimate shift towards which we are going. I am not saying it has been completely achieved, but the fact is it cannot be opposed. We have got to do more work to convince everybody, as Guruji used to say, that in this country anybody can follow any religion, but everybody has to accept the son or the daughter of the Bharat Mata is the ultimate, final, uniting, integrating point, which we have to further do. A lot of work has to be done, but there is no doubt that the country has changed, and the political changes are tectonic, and in my view, the philosophic changes are also as tectonic. Thank you very much.